Hi, everybody. Happy Tuesday. We're back again
Hey,
today, Cari and I, with Real Talk.
super excited to be here again. I was so excited. Haley and I actually got to see each other in person over the weekend, which was fantastic. We were so present in the moment that we didn't even take a picture for social media. And after we left, we were both like, what were we doing? I wanted to share with everybody that we had such a great time and we spent a multitude of hours together on Friday evening, which was really awesome. And it was so great to see you in person, even though it feels like we
Yeah,
see
it
each other
feels
all the
like,
time.
yeah, I mean, we see each other every day almost. So it seemed like we had met in person, but in actuality, Cari and I, even though we've known each other for a very long time, we had never actually seen each other in person. And although I felt really bad at first that we didn't take any
Mhm.
pictures, I told Cari, I said, I think it actually means that we were really fully present with each other and we were just, giving each other undivided attention.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think in the moment, like, hey, we should take a picture of this. So,
No, it was actually a really good sign, I think, even though we were bummed. Although we're going to have some pictures to show later, because that was actually one of the things that we did together. So today we're going to talk about self-leadership because it really is a great spin-off of after our conversation last week, don't you think?
yeah, I think that it actually, so last week we talked about accountability and how to hold yourself accountable and your teammates or people in your life. And so now today we're going to dive into self leadership. And I think that this is a great segue because self leadership or leading yourself first is really it's an art and I think it's a discipline. So, Carrie, tell us a little bit about what it means to lead yourself first.
So I think naturally human beings, especially maybe entrepreneurs, really actually think that they're leading themselves, but I think they're actually really focused on everything but themselves, mostly their business, mostly business strategies, mostly the right processes, hiring the right talent. Not that these are not good things, these are great things. But what we don't realize oftentimes is that our business can only grow to the extent that we actually do as a human being. So if we
Mm,
aren't growing ourselves, all of these other things might not actually get us to the place we need to go. But even in life, if you're a parent or a significant other or whatever roles you play on this, on this earth as a human being,
right.
oftentimes those things come before we do things for ourselves. And I always think of self leadership as really taking the time and spending the attention that is necessary on yourself to be aware, to self discover, to better yourself, to take the time that sometimes feels selfish when we're a business owner and we've got everything to do on our plate. We want to be a good spouse and we need to go on date night. We want to spend time with our kids. We have all this stuff going on with business and the people that depend on us. We actually oftentimes, and most oftentimes, put ourselves last. And I did that for a number of years. And what I actually realized is although my business was successful, it was really probably only a fraction of what it could have been in
Right.
hindsight at the time. And that was my excuse to not lead myself first or not take time for myself. And I did kind of have that same mentality. Like, if I'm taking time away from business or my kids or my family, then that's selfish. But I actually had to retrain myself and realize it's actually selfless. And if we really want to be the best version of ourselves in all areas of our lives, we have to lead ourselves first. And what came from that, Haley, and I know you've heard this story before, was just a lot of self-awareness, becoming more present in the moment. I was very not present because I was constantly distracted with everything else, but also just taking the time to settle my mind, to become less stressed and anxious, to take care of my body so I had better energy. Like, all of those things led to better relationships, better self-esteem, better confidence, and better business.
Yeah, I love that. And you touched a little bit on what it looks like for you, but can you give some more examples of how a person in business or maybe a business leader, how would you go about leading yourself first? What would be the first steps?
So yeah, good question. So I think the first step is looking in your calendar and asking yourself if you actually ever do anything for or with yourself in any capacity. And for most of us, the answer is no, not unless it just kind of happens. We don't really pre-schedule it. So looking at time, I always looked at it as time to fill my mind, my body, and my spirit on a daily basis, because that was what actually gave me the capacity to go out and do the things I needed to do for the people around me. So that happened to be a morning routine for me. And I think that that is probably one of the first things that people who really take this seriously do, is figure out what would a morning routine look like. It's just easier to get those things done in the morning before the rest of the day gets chaotic, right? So that's kind of why this morning routine even exists, is because if you are in business, you understand that the further along the day gets, the more there's things that are going to likely happen that are going to take you away from your schedule or that are going to distract you. So, what are you doing in the morning? Are you exercising? Are you journaling? Are you writing out your intentions? Are you looking at your goals? Are you spending time quickly with, your family for a breakfast before everybody's out the day? What are you actually doing? And so I worked on that. That was the very first thing I worked on. And it did really encompass, first and foremost, my health, because what people don't really realize is that usually is the first domino for self-esteem, confidence, energy, stress, reduction, ability to handle challenges. And if we're a business owner and we have a family, like, those are some of the most important things that we need to be able to accomplish. But the other thing is that when people see you leading yourself at a high level in all of these areas of your life, and wow, Haley has a successful career, but she also has a great relationship. It seems like she's always doing things with her family, or she's present with her kids. She looks to be in great health. She's got energy. Like, people don't necessarily say it like that in their mind, but they think it subconsciously. It's also very, very attractive, because every single person wants to achieve that. And it's not easy, but it is an intentional decision, and anybody can do it if they really want to. So now all of a sudden, leading yourself first brings other talented and more talented people into your world, which we know is probably going to elevate your life and your business. And for me, it brought better people into my world personally and professionally, and it elevated both, which has been life-changing. And it was a simple decision to stop thinking that taking time for yourself is selfish, to taking time for yourself is selfless. That literally was the inner dialogue that I changed first, which then changed my actions and then changed the results of my life and my business.
Love
So
that.
morning
So,
routine would be the first
yeah,
thing I would say.
I think that morning routine is a very, very powerful way to just lead yourself. And in fact, if you're looking, as a listener, if you're looking for how to implement a good morning routine, I would highly recommend the book Miracle Morning. Look it up online. You can get it, hard copy, or you can listen to it on Audible. That's a fantastic book. And I think the author does a great job of touching on two very important, um, I guess, excuses that people use. And that is, I don't have the time, or I feel guilty.
Mhm.
So, Carrie, can you touch on what do you do if you feel guilty leading yourself first, or making time for yourself? If that
Mhm.
makes you feel guilty, what do you do?
Yeah, I think it's just changing the inner dialogue. So first self-awareness, then acceptance, and then you can affect change. Those are kind of the three steps of anything, is that you have to be willing to become aware. Okay, I know this is good for me, but I realize I feel guilty about it. So, okay, now I'm aware that this is my reality. What can I do about it? And I think our reality many times comes from our thoughts, because we think that they are real things, but they're not. They're just thoughts. They have no bearing on reality. So I would start with an affirmation. I would start changing the inner dialogue. I would start reading or listening to self-help books that talk about leading yourself first, about personal discipline, responsibility, and time spent on yourself. That's what I started to do. I started to listen to podcasts. I started to follow people that were doing it. I started to realize, look, they actually have better lives. They actually are a better spouse. They actually have a better relationship. Carrie, look at yourself. You don't have good relationships right now because you're not taking care of yourself. Therefore, you have nothing to give other people. And so now you're feeling guilty that you're taking time away from what?
Right.
Something that really doesn't exist. It's just a story in your mind. And so once I became aware of that, I had a lot of self-talk, a lot of different changing of my dialogue, which, a lot of times would be writing down intentions, making sure I had affirmations. And so I had to, like, really literally retrain my brain when it came to that. And I just had to force myself to do it. So I actually hired a trainer, and I put it on my calendar, because I knew that if I did that, I paid her and I told her I was going to show up, I would, even in the moments when I felt guilty and I didn't want to. I had to have something that was going to force me to do it. Because when I started doing it, that's when I actually started to see the positive effects. And then I didn't feel guilty anymore. So you have to also sometimes just get into action, Haley, because
Mhm.
that's what's going to actually get you to feel differently, which is going to make you realize that the way you were thinking originally was all wrong.
Right.
So I
No,
would
I love
encourage
that.
people to start something and start something small so you don't feel super guilty. If it's only 10, 15 minutes, it really shouldn't make you feel too guilty, but start something, because I promise, even if you did something every day for 15 minutes, you would start to see some residual effects. And then that's going to make you want to do more. And most likely, you're going to start, expanding on that and realizing that your self leadership, your self discipline, and growing yourself and gaining that self confidence and that self esteem and all the things that come from that, they are literally going to leak into every single area of your life.
Love that. Well, thank you so much, Carrie. I think you did an amazing job of explaining that. And I think you're absolutely right. When we are putting out a vibration, we are attracting whatever that vibration is. So if we're not leading ourselves, if we're not taking care of ourselves, we're not loving ourselves, what are we getting in return for ourselves? And sometimes that includes the people that are in our lives. So
Yeah.
great advice and a good way to reflect this
Yeah.
Tuesday morning.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll see you guys next week.